Welcome back to the Guardian File. Before I go any further, make sure you hit the like and sub button. Today, what I want to talk about is the subject of it doesn't count in prison. Now, growing up, older folks will use a lot of deterrents to scare you out of getting in trouble and ending up in prison. And to be honest with you, they all work like a charm for me. Because one of the main things that we were taught that happens in prison, from where sagging your pants comes from, not dropping the soap, and keeping your back pointed directed, keeping your back towards the wall while you sleep. Because as a result of doing those things or not doing those things would end up in you being sexually assaulted. So instead of having to remember not to drop the soap, not to sleep with my back pointed towards the wall, and making sure I don't sag my pants, instead of having to think about doing all those things, I figured I'd just stay my ass out of prison. Now let's not get it twisted. I am not trying to judge anyone that has ended up in prison, because everyone has their own reasons of why they do certain things. Maybe some people really didn't have much of a choice, but this was honestly the main thing that prevented me from getting in trouble with the law and making sure I don't end up there. Now, my past experience with working at prisons and jails, I've come to realize that a lot of those stereotypes, stories that people would tell, is really not that prevalent. Now, it does exist. It does actually exist. Now, to be completely honest, there's really not a reason for it to exist. And I say that because there's a lot of willing participants. Now, technically, there's no such thing as consensual sex in jails or prisons, but obviously it does exist. And the majority of the time, it's not by force. And the majority of the time, it's by somebody that you at least expected, because they don't fit that quote-unquote mold of what most people visualize when they think of a homosexual male. It'll be the most masculine person that you've probably ever met. Like, for instance, picture the stereotypical looking black dude from Florida, goals in his mouth, dreads, about 6'2", dark-skinned dude, muscular, worked out on a regular basis. And you would never picture him being caught in a compromising position. So, I'm doing count one night. This is out of 12 o'clock, 12 a.m. count. So, I try to make sure that my keys are jingling when I walk around, so I won't walk up on something. Because, to be honest with you, it's traumatizing to see that actually taking place. So I don't want to see it. So every inmate has the opportunity to know when I'm coming around, because I don't try to hide it. This time in particular, for some odd reason, my keys were in my pocket. We were counting. Whenever we count, there's always two of us, myself and a fellow officer. Once we go down one end of the unit, we stop and make sure we have the same count. This time, we were one off. He had one count, I had a different one. So, I had to double back. This particular inmate figured, okay, they counted, so it'll be a while before he comes back. Unfortunately, he was wrong. See, this 6'2", dark-skinned inmate with dreads and golds in his mouth was bent over. Sweats around his ankle, t-shirt pulled over his head. This guy was being hit from behind by his cellmate, who's roughly 5'5", maybe 140 soaking wet. Now imagine how surprising it was for me to see this. A lot of guys you really would not expect to have this happen with. You have some guys who, if you see it, you're not surprised because they're the stereotypical, type of, flamboyant, talks with a lisp, talks with a whole bunch of hand gestures, all that good stuff that normally comes along with the homosexual man. So as a result of seeing this, these two individuals had to be locked up, sent to special housing or the lockdown unit. So I just had to ask him. His response was, well, I've been locked up since I've been 18 years old, and I'm not about to see the street anytime soon. It doesn't count while I'm back here. There's no women, and I like what I like. So what do you expect me to do? And once I had this experience of witnessing something so traumatizing, it's almost like it just started happening on a regular basis. Because I went about a whole 10 years without even witnessing anything like that. Then after that, it's almost like at least once every month I would, unfortunately, walk up on something like that. So, to all these women, just because your man's locked up, that doesn't mean it's a given that he's gonna be this way. No, it doesn't mean that at all. But what you should do is understand that there's a chance that this could happen. So when your man comes home, you probably need to take the proper precautions. Get him tested. And if he loves you, he won't be offended. Make sure you hit the like and sub button. I'm out.